What's up, y'all? Welcome to the third day of me working on the house project and the first property that I've ever owned that I purchased under $2,200 at 26 years old. So yesterday we left off at, getting one piece of laminate on because it started raining. So it looks pretty cloudy out there today. If you can see, hopefully the rain doesn't catch up to us, but anyways, yeah, let's just get right into it. Okay, so on to the second piece. For this piece, I'm only gonna have to take off the back lip, which is gonna be the bottom locking mechanism. I'm gonna have to take it out. So let's go see what the setup outside is gonna look like. Here's what we did. Same as the inside, but I took it outside. Obviously, you always wanna wear your safety glasses. And some EPs too, because this thing is loud. I believe this is how you do it. Okay, I think I got it locked in. I'm not worried about the 1/4 inch space yet. I'm gonna worry about that once I get some more layers in. But essentially, that's what I'm gonna have to keep doing. And then once we get to this door frame right here, we're gonna have to get a little creative and probably end up measuring and cutting some piece out right there. So, well, as you can see, we ran into our first issue here, and that's I can't, obviously I can't push this piece of laminate all the way back because of this door frame here. So now I have to get some measurements. We're gonna see how I do that because I've never done it before. Get some measurements so it could fit under that door frame, and then probably cut this end off. So we'll see how we do that. It's the first time I use the speed square. I don't like that. I kind of just want to take this out because eventually I'm gonna keep running this laminate flooring straight that way, and I don't want to make a cut to have to remove this later. So I think I'm just gonna take this vinyl that's under there and kind of just get the measurements for this path, so I don't have to struggle later on in the future whenever I want to add floor to the rest of this hallway. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna end up doing. I think what I'm gonna do is cut a piece of laminate, a small one, just to kind of use it as a measuring aid, because that's what I've seen people on YouTube do to get this measurement right. So yeah. And you gotta do something like this. I think what you do here is you put it here, mark this out. We're gonna do this. We're gonna get this side. I'm gonna measure that right there. We're gonna do that. I'm gonna try that, I guess. Guess we'll cut that piece out, and then we'll see how that looks. I think we're dialed right there. This little gap, we could caulk it later, but keep in mind, I also need to get my 1/4 inch right here at the end. So that'll kind of spare me some room right there. And I'll be able to kind of fill that hole a little bit more. But yeah, that was my first attempt. I think it went well. Now we just got to do the rest. For the next layer, I'm going to cut this piece 6 inches long and then continue it like that, so it prevents the H pattern design that people so famously talk about when installing laminate. So yeah, that's what we're going to do, and we're going to continue with the rest of this for now. Also, quick tip, since I don't have wedges to get that 1/4 inch, I'm just going to use this, cut them up into pieces and use them as my spacers to get that 1/4 inch reveal. If you didn't understand what I was saying, this is what I'm talking about. Put that in there, get your 1/4 inch, put it in the back as well, and you put this throughout the rest of the stuff to get that 1/4 inch you want. Next, I'm gonna do this little 6 inch right here to keep it staggered, and so it doesn't look, you know, so it doesn't get that H pattern that everybody talks about. I kind of like how 8 inches looks. Pause. So that's how I'm talking about right there. It's gonna kind of look like that. And then I'm just gonna start from the left and then just add into it. And then I'll probably add it at the end. I just wanna use that right there as a reference for now. But yeah, let's just continue. And then when I get to the hard parts, I'll kind of show you what I do. I wonder why it's like lipped up like that. There we go. That was flat. Oops, wrong side. Gotta be aggressive. I think I figured it out. Let's just keep pushing forward, see what happens. Well, I call that first roll successful. Now we got the rest of the room to go. All right, this is what we're looking at now. Whoever lays floors down, my hat goes out to you guys. This is a lot of labor. So somehow I unintentionally made this side of the doorway the same length as the other side of the doorway. So this side should be pretty easy. Let's see if I can figure it out by thyself. I don't have a pen. Where's my pen? Here it is. So, we're gonna do one of these. Let me get the straight edge actually. Do one of these, measure this right here. And then I believe what we do next is you line it up with this one. Kind of line it up like that. Well, you know, it would make sense, but it has to be on that side. So I messed that up completely. I'll just get back to you whenever I get the measurement done. So what I'm just gonna do instead is grab the speed square and measure out on this side how, say 2.5. Now we'll go 3. Yeah, 3. And then I'll just come over here on this side, measure out 3. And then we just do one of these. And then cut it right there, and then we'll see how it fits. All right, here we go, moment of truth. Now I gotta figure out also how to install this because of the angle, you know? I also need to figure that out. Well, we're gonna learn together. So I can already tell that I'm gonna have to cut off a little bit more. Let's go do that real quick. I've decided I'm just gonna get a measurement from right here, cut that off, slide it in like that. Pause, see what it looks like after. Let's see if this worked. Might have overdid it. I could have done maybe like a little step right there. But you live and you learn, guys. You live and you learn. I think that'll work though. think that's gonna do just fine. Make sure I'm not damaging that lip. So close. I'm like right there, bro. Looks like I'm gonna have to cut off a little bit here. So, dang, that was gonna be close too. It's gonna be a nice little tight squeeze in there. But all right, I'll be back once I make these new cuts. Let's try this again. Well, it pulled. Now I'm just worried about that fat ass gap right there, man. That gap's thick. There's nothing I can do now. Just gonna call it right there. All right, so I decided to cut a new piece for this corner. It came to mind like when I was doing the row after. So we'll see if it works a little bit better than the last one I had did. Needs to be cut just a tiny bit more. Boom. Wow. But now it just has a hole there, which is kind of like the other side, but it's gonna be better than what it was before, I think. I just have to patch it up real good later on. And it's good, but still has that fat old hole there, so it is what it is. You win some, you lose some. That's gonna have to get patched up with some silicone or some caulk, but hey, it is what it is. I think it looks better than how it was before, so I'm gonna leave it like that. Anyways, still got the rest of this entire room to go. Well, y'all, I think I'm only gonna do one more layer. This shit is exhausting, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's very meticulous because the floor is always moving. So, you know, you think you have the right space in between the wall and the flooring, but after hitting it too many times, it gets out of place. So, I'm just gonna do this one last row and call it wraps. I also learned to only use the tapping block to get it in, but the puller to really set it into place. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Still have 6 more. I've only been through 4 of them. And we got 7 actually. So, and we covered a lot of the room already, so I should definitely have more than enough to finish this room up. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. So you get your piece, line it up, get your tapping block, tap it in, and then we use the puller instead of the tapping block to pull it, because I've noticed it started messing up some of the laminate. So with this, it's way better and it's actually a lot faster. And that's all she wrote right there. So, not too shabby. Let me finish this last row. Also, it saves you a lot more time if you get it as close as possible to the short lip, like that. The reason you want to get it as close as possible so it doesn't have to travel that much and it doesn't move the floor so that much, but that's actually inevitable. The floor is going to move no matter what. That's why you want to put those spacers. Right now I did end up using those little pieces of laminate as spacers to get that 1/4 inch, and I've been using this little trim piece to kind of make sure that, you know, there's no hole exposed or anything like that. So far, every time I install a layer, I start checking around everything because the floor moves so damn much. You want to make sure it's always in the right position before you move on to the next layer. Quick little tip right there that I just learned. Then we pull it. Boom chakalaka. Finito. And then we go check everywhere to make sure there's still a gap. And that's pretty much it for today. I am exhausted and I still have to go to the gym. So I'm done. Well, all right guys, it looks like this is gonna take longer than I imagined, obviously, since I have no experience and I'm kind of just learning as we go. But this is everything we got so far. It's not too bad if I say so myself, especially for my first time, but today was a real learning experience for me since it was the first time actually installing it. But we're gonna cut it short today. I still have to go to the gym. You still have to get your gains in. Stay tuned for tomorrow where we hopefully almost finish the whole room. All right, peace.